Morning. Well, it's week 2, day 6. Actually, I should say month 1, week 2, day 6 of the 36-month foreign exchange trading challenge. Last week was pretty good. 2.1% booked return on opening capital, and in my cable trade, my cable short trade, pound dollar, got some open profit there and holding that for as long as I can. Yeah, looking forward to another good week. Up early this morning, 5:45 a.m. Not easy to do today. Felt quite tired after the weekend, but got to do the routine, got to do the discipline, and I'm going to jump into the charts in a moment and just show you where we are. This week, a bit of news out, not a huge amount. And Thursday, Friday, I'm away. I'm down in London, so really it's going to be difficult again trading on the move, but not impossible. So let's dive into the charts and have a look. Okay, so into cable, pound dollar on Monday morning around about 10:15 UK time. This trade is progressing quite well. I've rolled my stop down now to lock in profits. This is a profitable trade, whatever happens. We're in an interesting zone here. We've got the intermediate trend here within the range. This is range mode for me. Yeah, one or two things is going to happen. Either we're going to break the top of this range, I'm going to get stopped out, and we're going to be back up to the top of the range potentially, who knows. What I'm really looking for and what I'm kind of expecting, expectations are dangerous, but based on the probability and what I'll show you in a second, what I am kind of expecting is a break below this low. If I jump out to the daily, this is the bottom of the range. If we break below here, then I think there's a really good chance that we'll go all the way down to test the 1.2000 even handle, which equates to this sig level 1, which is, yeah, that's the 10, 5 and 3 year low. So there's a decent probability we'll get down there, but who knows. So what I'm doing is just holding. We've had a bit of a pushback up overnight. Could be to test this area again. We traded under the 1.2500 handle on Friday. That was on positive news out of the US, non-farm payrolls. So just holding and wait to see what happens. The only other trade that I wanted to talk about today, which I need to talk about today unless anything happens later on, if I go to my commodity synthetics, in fact, while I just do that, let me just drag this across and show you this. So this is my weekly market analysis sheet. You'll see on pound dollar cable, we're in range mode, and I've got sell signals. This is based on price in relation to the weekly simple moving average here, weekly 50, weekly 200 simple moving average, weekly 50 simple moving average, etc, etc, etc. We're all sell, and my sentiment indicator is sell and focus, which means there is over a 70% extreme to the long side in terms of the retail trader community, which means I'm a contrarian seller. So all of this, even the monthly, is pointed south for cable. So yeah, this is why I think there is a high probability that we could get down into that 10, 5 year and 3 year low, but only time will tell. Okay, let's move that and get back to this trade. Okay, so this was a trade I set up last week. This is in CAD Swissy, so Canadian dollar, Swiss franc, and in line with my rules, I'd set an order inside a sell limit inside the top of the range. This wasn't triggered on Friday; it almost was. And as I was reviewing my rules over the weekend, which is part of my approach to review my rules, I realized that in actual fact I'd entered this sell limit here, and I'd broken a rule. I'd broken one of my rules, and if I look at that on here, I can explain why. So one of my rules says that in terms of this, and my SMA, simple moving average, and 10 daily exponential moving average indicator, these are all pointing to the buy side. And what it says in my rules, that if they're all pointing to the buy side, then I can't take a short trade in my range setup. Can't do it. I've got to have at least one of these pointing to the sell side. What's also interesting, yeah, there is some sell bias here on the monthly 50 simple moving average, but you know, here there is not. So what I need to do is I need to wait in line with my rules until we get a close below one of these levels, which will be this level most likely, before I could consider shorting. What will probably happen is we'll get up here, we'll either carry on up to the north side, in which case I was right to avoid this trade, or we may close down, test the top, may close down below these levels here, which will give me a golden gate entry, but we'll wait and see. And I just wanted to emphasize that on this this morning, because a lot of people write their trading rules and then don't stick to them, or they find a reason not to stick to the rules this one time, but there is never one time, and unless you review your rules on a regular basis, it's very easy to forget them or to miss something. And the rules are there to control your behavior, which can be emotional, of course, in the market. So very glad I picked that up by reviewing my rules at the weekend. I've got a few things I'm watching. I've recorded these in my notebook, and a few pairs I'm watching today, and we'll see if any signals show up, and we'll look to take the best opportunities as always and preserve the capital as always. It's Tuesday morning, around about 20 past 7. Been up since about 5:45. I've done the morning market analysis, overnight analysis, relative strength yesterday. Got 2 trades on. Got a cable short, which I've had on for a few days, since last week now. That's progressing well, that's fully protected. Be interesting to see what happens today. I'm looking for a break below a certain level to add to that trade below the range, so we're into bearish territory, but we'll see if we get there today. And yesterday, 6 o'clock last night, I added a position in US dollar CAD on a full house strategy. Had a bit of heat in that overnight. I'll pull up the charts in a moment and show you that, but yeah, I'm quite confident in this trade, but you never know. It's all a game of probability. Just made the second coffee of the day. So while the world is waking up, just looking at the clock here, while the world is waking up, I'm going to have that coffee, and I'll pull up the charts and talk you through it. The first video is now back from editing. So this is the second video, the second week, but I'll get that put up on YouTube, and my plan is to record a video telling the story of this challenge each and every week, the good, the bad, the indifferent, the good times, the bad times, you name it. It's a fully transparent narrative and record of this challenge. So with that said, let's jump in the charts, and I'll explain what's going on. So here in the daily chart on cable, pound, dollar, as you can see, we didn't close below the range low yesterday, but today on dollar strength, for whatever reason, we are trading now below the range. This is still a range mode for me until this candle closes. I don't do anything until the candle closes, but on the 244 hour chart, what that means is that this trade is moving nicely in the direction of my entry, and is a profitable trade. I'm not going to look to add to this until we get that close below this level, maybe at 10 o'clock this evening. So we'll wait and see, but at the moment everything's fine there. The other trade that I entered yesterday, let me just jump into this, is a trade on USD CAD. So this is a short trade, so it's kind of a hedge, I guess, against the pound dollar short, because effectively on the pound dollar short I'm buying the US dollar. Here on USD CAD short, I'm selling the US dollar. So kind of a hedge. It's not the reason I took the trade. I took the trade because I got a signal here, this S signal on a full house strategy. Basically, all of my simple moving averages were pointing south on the weekly, daily, and 4 hour. And at the time of entry, the 10 exponential moving average was below the 30 exponential moving average. Now this overnight traded above the 50 simple moving average. Doesn't mean I get out straight away. There's a couple of things to talk to you about here, or to explain here. What I'm looking for here is proactively deciding what to do next. Now the first thing is, if the orange line, the orange dotted line, crosses above the black dotted line, that, according to my rules, is a signal to exit a third of my position. This trade is clearly going against the direction of my trade. If that happens on a 10 a.m. close, which is looking likely, I will then exit a third of my position. And what that means is that I will start to get out of a trade that's not going my way, which ultimately will reduce my overall loss. Or potential loss. This trade may still of course win. The other thing here, you'll see this red dotted line. Now this is set halfway between my stop and my entry, and if this line is touched at any point through the trade, I ask myself the question on the close of the candle whether I still want to be in this trade. And I'll know that, I'll answer that question at 10 o'clock. If I decide that actually I don't want to be in this trade, I can just get out of the trade there and then. But there are reasons that I probably still will want to be in this trade, which I'll talk about in a moment. The other option here is, if the 10 exponential moving average closes above the 50 simple moving average, the pink line, and this is flat now, this could indicate a trend trade in the opposite direction. So stop would go down here, I'd enter here, and I'd look to trade up here. Now this is slightly dangerous because on the daily chart we have this downtrend, very clear downtrend. So the question would be, if I was to take that trend trade entry in line with my rules, whether there was enough what I call room to go, RTG, to get to the top of the range, because it's highly likely or probable that sellers would maybe come in again here. So that's one thing to think about. The reason I'm probably going to stay in this trade, even though this level has been touched, is if I look at, if I go out to the, let's go on to the daily, I go out to the weekly, and let me take the annotations off, hide annotations, where is it? Hide annotations. If I take the annotations off, you can see that we closed here below the weekly 200 simple moving average a couple of weeks ago, traded below it last week. We're now testing it here, so there's a possibility that sellers could come in here on a retest of this weekly simple moving average, 200 simple moving average, which could force some downward pressure. Also note that in terms of the trend on the weekly, because we broke, it's always difficult to do when I'm recording, I don't know, oh, there we go, that's not very helpful. That's because I've clicked to put annotations on. Let me just get rid of that. Hide annotations. Because we've closed below this level here, in fact, have we closed below this level? No, we haven't closed below this level. So technically, we are still, we're kind of in range mode really on the weekly. We haven't had a new high here, and we haven't had a new low here, so the market's a little bit confused. Okay, so that's all right. Then if I go to the monthly, if you look here, it's arguable that we closed below the monthly 50 simple moving average last week. We're now testing this again, so I think there's good reason that maybe this market will turn around and ultimately go in the direction of my trade, going back to the 240. Let me put the annotations back on. There we go. So we'll wait and see what happens on the 10 o'clock, and I'll report in on that a little bit later. We've also got this S candle, SZ candle here. This is kind of the top of, if this was an intermediate range, this is the top of the range, so this may attract more sellers. So we will see. We will see. I'll report back on this one later. But taking a little bit of heat in a trade is not uncommon. The important thing is, as I talk about in today's blog post, stick to the rules, follow the rules. Even if you lose following your rules, it's still a winning trade. But if you break your rules and you are profitable on a trade, well, that's a losing trade. So that's the thing to think about. Okay, bit of an update. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's around about, well, it's not around about 5 to 5. I can see the clocks in the background. You see that? I've got world clocks, world time. You need a lot of clocks when you trade international currency markets, but there we go. Bit of an update. 2 more trades signals showed up. Took 2 new trades, and I'll show you very quickly now. I'm not going to go into too much detail. We'll show you very, very quickly what they're all about now on the screen. Okay, so you can see these trades now in my private broker account. This is the live results, if you like, at the moment. The 2 new trades are Aussie dollar short and pound Aussie dollar short, and I'll show you what's going on there. One of them's taking a little bit of heat. My USD CAD trade from last night is taking a little bit of heat at the moment, but I'll do a very, very, very quick roundup now. So here we are on cable. I guess I predicted correctly that we've looked to have broken below the range, so we're now in a bearish territory. That will be confirmed on the close of the daily candle. I think we could get down to this low here, so I'm just holding. Let's have a quick look at the Aussie trade I entered. So this is using the Golden Gate strategy. If you see here on this candle I entered on the daily chart, price had traded underneath the 50 simple moving average there, and then that also corresponded, which is this brown line, effectively to the 240 200 simple moving average. So I sold here, looking to move down towards the bottom of the range I should say. And US dollar CAD, yeah, this has been frustrating. It's traded up above the 50 simple moving average. What I did do in line with my rules, I exited a third of my position here, but we're consolidating now at this level. Got a Z candle which hasn't closed yet. This level here, I asked myself the question, do I still want to be in this trade? The answer to that is yes, given what's happening on the weekly and the monthly chart, as well as on this chart. So I'm just holding firm. And then very quickly, let's look at the other new trade that's taken this afternoon. Just go to my commodity synthetics. Hopefully that'll be the one that pops up. Where are we? Come on, quite a bit to load, so takes a bit of time. Yeah, here we go. So this is pound Aussie. This is a short trade. Basically, I sold off this candle here, this YX candle here. I was in slightly late, but we hadn't, I was still within the parameters to take this trade. The price has come up, given me a little bit of heat, testing the 50 simple moving average. Now got my target here. So yeah, pretty good shape. It's always difficult when your trade takes a bit of heat to begin with, but the important thing is that you have your rules in place and you stick to the rules, and you follow the rules, you follow the process. Don't worry about the these numbers I showed you. The last thing you should be looking at is these on a regular basis. I just showed you that I am trading live here. The last thing you should be doing is looking at these numbers. What you need to focus on is the price action. What's the price action telling you, and what does that mean in terms of me staying in this trade, adding to this trade, or just getting out? And that's really what it's all about. Well, hello, it's Wednesday morning around about 9:30. Been up early again, doing pre-market analysis, and yeah, all set for the day now. Know what I'm doing, know what I'm not doing. Wow, it's been a tough 24 hours, I would say. And yesterday, entered a couple of trades in line with my full house strategy, all the signals lining up. But for whatever reason, these trades have not gone my way or are not going my way. One of them I'm still in. One of them I'm not. I'll show you on the charts in a moment. But yeah, very frustrating. And yesterday I struggled to follow my exit rules. If a trade doesn't go my way, I have 3 ways to get out. Well, 3 separate stages to get out: a third, exit a third, exit a third, and then exit a third, based on certain signals. And for whatever reason, I took the first one, didn't take the second one, and then finally this morning came to the chart and said, you know, enough is enough. I'm going to exit the position, and this is all about cutting losses. So a couple of things I wanted to mention on this quick kind of summary as to where we are. When it comes to cutting losses, it's quite a difficult thing to do, but any trading book will tell you that to be successful, you've got to cut your losses and let your winners run. But the difficulty we have, I think, in cutting losses, and I use the analogy, it's a bit like cutting off your hand. You know, you're not going to want to do it. It's painful. It's uncomfortable, but if you need to cut off your hand to save your arm, then you might consider doing it. And this is the analogy I've used in today's blog post, which is perhaps not the best analogy, but it's the only one I could come up with. Because in trading, we have to take pain, and we have to inflict pain on ourselves to protect ourselves from a bigger pain. And that's what I had to do this morning. But as human beings, we don't like to admit we're wrong, and also we don't like to inflict pain. We move away from it. And this is one of the reasons that trading rules are so important, because I set them, and I have set them when I'm away from the market, prior to being in the emotional turmoil of the market. So the job is just to follow them. So that was an important lesson for me. And as you say, as I say, as anyone says, you've got to learn from your mistakes, and trading is about psychology, and that was a good revelation this morning, and something that I'm going to hold dear to me now and hold tight now moving forwards. One of the things about writing this daily blog post is really helpful, because it gets me to think about what I'm doing, why I'm doing it. It helps me to be self-aware. The other thing I wanted to say about trading rules is that, as I see it and from my experience in the market, a lot of the time people use trading rules simply to get in, and the priority of trading rules is to get into the market. But for me, it's the other way around. The trading rules are there to keep me out of bad trades, so to keep me out of bad opportunities or low probability opportunities. And then if I am in a trade that you know, was a good setup, but for whatever reason doesn't go my way, you know, that's fine. These things happen. So my trading rules are there to get me out, and to get me out efficiently, unemotionally, to help me to inflict that pain on myself that you have to do if you want to preserve your long-term capital. So just a couple of thoughts. I'm going to jump into the charts now and just give a quick update as to where we are. So on cable, pound dollar, we've switched now out of range mode into trend mode. You'll see the close below here, which happened yesterday on this candle. Means that, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of my market analysis, I'm now looking at trend opportunities. Entered on a Golden Gate strategy. This is the daily chart. Let me jump into the 240. So although I entered on a range strategy, we're now in trend mode. So I'm looking to add to this position as we move down. This is developing a really nice trend. This is what I like to see. The 50 simple moving average, the 30 exponential moving average, and then the 10 exponential moving average in line. This here was some news out just about 30 minutes ago. There's been a spike here. Be interesting to see what happens here. If this attracts more sellers, if I get a signal, I'll be taking a further short on this position. Rolling the stop as we go. I've rolled the stop 20 points above here. We've got a close below here. What I'm looking for now is a close below this level. And I'll then have the opportunity to roll the stop above wherever we get to here. So that's cable. Let's have a quick look at this. Yeah, so this was a trade I got into yesterday. Golden Gate strategy on the Aussie dollar. What's interesting about this trade is we're in a range as I see it. The market traded on the day. When I entered, the market hadn't closed, but on the day it was trading below the 50 simple moving average, and that level corresponded pretty much to this 200 simple moving average on the 240 chart. So once we got this close here, I entered with a sell position, and we're now kind of just tracking down. You know, this trade is in profit, stops well away, it's above the moving averages, so I'm holding here. My target is slightly below where I'd normally put it, I still think this is a you know, opportunity for the right risk reward on here to take half the position off. You know, we're still kind of at the bottom of the range. I've got the range highlighted with the yellow slightly tighter, but I'll monitor that as we get down to this level. US dollar CADs. Okay, so this was a trade that I had on the, what was that, Monday? What are we today? The 10th, yeah, Monday. So I sold here. What's happened is the market completely reversed on me. And I talk about this in today's blog post. You can read more about this at stgforex.tv. What happened here is market then came back up. It's trading up here. When the, let me zoom in, when the 10 exponential moving average crossed above the 30, I exited a third of the position. And then for whatever reason, I didn't follow my rules, and that's a big mistake. I didn't follow my rules as the 10 exponential moving average crossed over the 50. I should have exited another third. And then similarly, this morning when I woke up, the 30 had crossed over the 50, 30 exponential moving average had crossed over the 50. And I got out of all of the positions. So I was kind of about where I would have been anyway, but I've got to follow the rules. And the reason you've got to follow the rules is because of what I spoke about just a moment ago on camera. So that's what I was talking about on camera just a moment ago. Now, what's frustrating, of course, is the market looks to be now coming down, but you know, these things happen. It doesn't matter. I've made the right decision at the right time based on the right information in line with my rules, which means that although this trade is a losing trade, I've minimized the loss as best I can. You know, it's a cost of doing business. So then yesterday I entered a very similar trade to the USD CAD trade. I entered a short here on the pound Aussie. Again, what happened is the market kind of went against me. It traded above the 50 simple moving average, which is not a reason for me to get out. This sometimes does happen before a sharp move down again. But when the 10 EME crossed the 30 EME, I got out a third of the position. It's looking like on the 2 o'clock candle today, the 10 is going to cross the 50, so I'll be out of another third of the position. You know, this trade is looking like I'm going to get stopped out, or I'll have exited, you know, in line with the rules. Again, this is trying to minimize any loss, which means that the wins, you know, I can accommodate more losses for wins that I make in any given period. So that's what this really is all about. So a little bit frustrating, but losses part of doing business. And then a kind of interesting thing, I talk about this again in the blog post. If I go to, where is it? Let me remember. Yeah, here. Okay, so New Zealand dollar CAD. So this was yesterday, last night. I entered a short position in eToro here, and tried to enter this in my private broker account, which is ETH Capital, but due to margin requirements, because I've got other trades open, I couldn't enter this short. So what I did is I left the position open in eToro overnight. When I woke up this morning, saw this Z signal, decided for two reasons to get out. Obviously this Z signal, and also the fact that, you know, as part of this challenge, my private broker account should be mirroring my eToro account. So took a small profit in eToro. I've now taken this trade off. This is still a valid signal. If I get another X reversal candle or similar, this is a short opportunity I can still take down to the bottom of this daily trend. But you know, for the moment, there's nothing to do on here. So that's where we currently are. My eyes will be watching for 2 o'clock, and if there's anything to update on later, I'll do that. And yeah, let's see where we end up. So quick update, it's around about 4:15 on Wednesday. Was stopped out of the pound Aussie short a little bit earlier on today on my initial stop. I'd taken off a little bit of the position just to lighten up. So a couple of trades gone against me, just part of the process. It does make it very difficult to keep trading when you have a couple of losing trades. But so far for the month, 2 winners, 2 losers. So kind of standing still a little bit, but 2 open trades that we'll see where we get to with those. FOMC at 7 o'clock tonight. That's Federal Open Market Committee minutes. This is always big news in the US. So I've not entered any further positions today. There weren't any signals, but I wouldn't have entered any positions anyway. I'm in the car now. I'm driving to a meeting in town, so I'm going to be tied up just as FOMC kicks off. But we'll see what happens. I've got a pound short, cable short, and Aussie dollar short. If the news out of FOMC favours the US dollar, then those trades will work very nicely indeed. But as always, I've got my stops in place. So yeah, not much more to do. Follow the process, follow the plan, and the market will take care of itself. So 7:10, meeting over. Quite good meeting, went well. Just checked in to charts on my phone, and sorry, not charts on my phone, broker on my phone, and FOMC is underway. Not too much reaction as yet. It's one of the reasons I don't trade on my phone. I trade on the charts because I can't see what's going on. But yeah, anyway, not too much reaction, but got my stop loss orders in place just in case anything does kick off the wrong way. But that's it. We'll see what the fallout is when I next check in. So FOMC last night, and initial reaction from the market, not too much, but overnight the dollar has weakened quite a lot actually. Got two new positions on, two existing positions, and away for a couple of days in London now, which is going to make things slightly difficult, but as always, stop loss orders in place, and won't be checking in as frequently, but going to have some fun in London with a wife. 2-day break that we've not had for a long time. So I had a good few hours walking around London, been into Covent Garden, now back at the hotel, fully checked in, but the business of trading goes on. It's always more difficult trading on the move, but let's jump into the charts and see where we are. So first up, pound dollar cable, the price reversed here, stopped me out on my trailing stop at the 50 simple moving average, and now is continuing to press down. I've got to wait for another signal now to get in, but decent profit on this trade, so reasonably happy. The stop was looks like just outside the 50 simple moving average. Normally I'd expect it to test it and bounce back down, but we pressed through and pressed back down. So yeah, shame to be out, but c'est la vie. Next trade, Aussie dollar. Yeah, bit under pressure at the moment. Got in here on the Golden Gate strategy to close below the 200 simple moving average. We've now traded back up to the 50. Looks like the 50 is forming some resistance, and potentially we could get a press back down to my target here. US dollar CAD, again, trade under pressure, but the levels are holding. This is a trend strategy, and got in here. The 50 simple moving average held on the 6 o'clock close. We now look potentially to be pressing down towards the target. And sometimes you've got to take a little bit of heat on your trades before they go your way. It's very, very difficult to actually time the market perfectly. And one of the reasons I like to trade on a 4-hour chart as opposed to a 5-minute chart is because your stop loss is further away, you give yourself more opportunity to be wrong for a little bit before you're right. And then we've got on the pound Aussie. Okay, so yeah, had a bit of resistance here. A bit of pressure up here. Closed above the 50 simple moving average, but now pressing back down, potentially heading again towards target. So yeah, nothing to do. No reason to take any of these trades off or line up any of these trades. I'll hold these overnight and see where we wake up tomorrow.
Well, good morning. It's Friday morning. Late night, early starts are never easy, but had a great night last night in London at the hotel today. And as you can see behind me, the market doesn't sleep and neither do I. So trading on the move. Got a number of positions still on. Stopped out of the pound dollar, of course, yesterday. Got Aussie dollar under a little bit of pressure this morning, but still holding. And then a couple of trades that are quite interesting. I talk about in my blog post. Trades in USD CAD short, and also a trade in pound Aussie short. Both of these got some really interesting setups in terms of the monthly, the weekly, and the 244-hour charts. So yeah, quite confident in those trades, but you never know, which is why I have a stop loss. Having a look around London today, enjoying the sights and the sounds of what I think is the world's best city. Yeah, I'll be monitoring the positions on the move and see where we end up with those.
So here's Aussie dollar. Can see under a little bit of pressure, heading towards the stop. Normally I'd be out of this position now. This was my Golden Gate strategy. We crossed down under the simple moving averages. Now crossed back and closed. But the reason I'm still holding this position is because of that grey line there, which is the 0.7000 even handle, which can be quite significant. So there's a possibility that the market may come back down now, but yeah, we'll see. On USD CAD, heading about halfway towards target now, so that's nice to see. This is an interesting setup. If I jump out to the, let's have a look. I'll jump out to the weekly. Monthly first off. It's a bit hard to see on here, but yeah, if I take my annotations off now, you will see high annotations. You can see that we're trading here below the monthly 50 simple moving average. If I then dive down to the weekly, you will see, if I try to get across, let's just tie that up a bit. You will see that we're also trading below the 50 and the 200 simple moving average. We closed, had a close below there 2 weeks ago, and trading down here now. So I think there's a lot of potential with this trade, potentially to get down to the 1.2000 level. It's a very similar story on pound Aussie, which I'll show you now. So pound Aussie, very similar setup. This is the 240 chart. If I jump into the weekly, is that the weekly? No, the monthly. Let me just remove the annotations again. Where are we? You'll see below the 50 simple moving average on the monthly, and then on the weekly. Let's jump into that quickly. Yeah, it's a similar story here. Below the 50, below the 200. So very similar setup to US dollar CAD. You know, in trading, you win some, you lose some, you win some, you lose some, and then what you're looking to do is to hang on for that big winner and to be there when that big winner comes along. So, you know, difficult week this week, but the fact that these two positions are on and doing, well, looking like they're going the right direction, could make for some good results over the last couple of weeks into the end of the month of the first month's challenge. But in the meantime, I'll monitor the positions, and if T is hit, first target is hit, I'll of course, in line with my rules, roll my stop to entry. So we're here at Phantom of the Opera at Her Majesty's Theatre. How's the view, Sam?
Well, no one's going to be in front of us.
Pretty good. Let's enjoy the show.
Well, Sunday morning and back from a great couple of days in London. Saw the sights and the sounds, stayed at the Savoy, which was amazing. Dined at the Ivy. What else did we do? Phantom of the Opera, Covent Garden, a whole host of really, really good stuff, and had a great time. And I think you work hard in trading. I think it's always good to go and enjoy yourself. And took the wife down, had a really good time. But now it's back to the markets. Do my analysis today. Just a very quick update as to what's happened on the challenge so far. First week was a profitable week. This week not so good. A bit of a frustrating week. Stopped out of a number of positions, and that happens. So overall on the account, in terms of the challenge, down by 1.9%, which is well within tolerance levels. I have a maximum 10% drawdown on my account at any one time, so 1.9% is no trouble at all. Got 2 positions left. I'll show you those in a moment, but got 2 positions left on, both looking like potentially very profitable positions. So hopefully in a good start to week 3. But in these situations, you're up, you're down. It's important not to panic and just to follow the plan, follow the process, and stick to the discipline, which is exactly what I'll be doing for this week. And the following week and a bit into the end of the month.
So here's my Aussie dollar trade. You can see took the signal here, closed below the 200 simple moving average, but we closed back, and then we closed back above the 200 and was stopped out here. I don't have rules at the moment to exit or lighten up on my position if there is a close back beyond these levels, SMA levels, on my Golden Gate strategy. Or indeed on my range strategy. So this is something I'm going to monitor and maybe implement some rules. If I'd have took off a third of the position here, a third of the position here, this would have been a way to minimize my loss and have that loss below below the 2% loss that I allow on any individual trade. So that's Aussie dollar, US dollar CAD. So this trade is progressing quite well now. We're under the 50 simple moving average. The exponential moving averages are spreading, and I'm looking for a push down here to take off 50% of my position. And then finally, I have my pound Aussie trade, which I'll go into now. And that's a very, very similar very similar position to USD CAD in terms of the position of price in relation to the monthly, weekly, and 240 simple moving averages. So we're very much in the downtrend. This is on a full house strategy, the other one's on a trend strategy, but very, very similar strategies, both trend trading strategies. And again, we're holding below the 50 simple moving average. The simple moving averages aren't in, or the exponential moving averages aren't in line at the moment, but this is a strong reversal candle here. So looking for a push down into here to take off half the position, and then a push down further and hold as long as I possibly can. So 2 decent trades on, although a disappointing week. Excited for the week to come, and there's still two and a bit weeks left in the month to hit my targets. All I need to do is to stay disciplined, follow the rules, and keep executing my plan.
Closed doors, I'm a fool for your love.